Camera is rolling. This is take 2. Mark.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the household where everything is a production.
We're the Kekeles. My name is Omo.
And my name is And my name is Tylea.
Surname.
And we are so happy that you all decided to kick it with us. If it's your first time, please make sure you like and subscribe. We are so happy that you're here. And if not, we're so happy that you're here.
Yes. So to keep up with the promise that we made last week, this video is story time. So essentially, you're gonna get a chance to get some inside scoop about who we are, how we became married, and just that little snippet of our journey, and just get close to us. That's, this camera, you're gonna get close to us. Yeah. So to kick things off, the year that we met, if I recall, was 2017. So this guy over here made a decision to move to New York City with no money, no specific plan, just wanted to chase my dream of becoming a filmmaker. In that process, I was able to join a church actually in the city, and one day we were just having a church event, and in that room, just the music broke out, everything started moving in slow motion. Just the hair was blowing in the wind, and then just across the room, I was just glistening in just a spotlight, just highlighting this young woman, and I'm like, whoa, who is she? But then I kind of like shook out of it and realized actually nothing was in slow motion. Everything was moving at a fast pace. It was really cold that day. I moved on with my life. I didn't pursue much from that instance. And a friend suggested, hey, have you gone on any double dates with some friends recently? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you know what? What do you think about going on a double date with Tylea? I'm like, Ty who? He's like, Tylea. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Who's that? And then, he started giving me some descriptions of her. And then I kind of like had a flashback. And I'm like, oh, that was a girl that I thought I saw in slow motion, but it was in fast motion. And the light, her. Why her? So it just seems like every instance of my life, she just kept coming into the picture. So I'm like, something interesting is happening here. So on the latter end of 2017, I made a decision to, phone her up, call her. I'm like, hey, I got some friends together. Let's see if we can do a double date. As Christians, that's something that definitely I think is beneficial and great accountability to just do doubles with others. So we did that. We went to, I think I'm gonna let her tell you guys where our first date was, to spare myself. But I thought it was amazing. It was phenomenal. And we just had a lot of fun, and then we went back and forth, got a chance to know each other. She knew who I was. I got a chance to know who she was. And we walked away feeling great. So a week or two later, I just stopped talking to her. Not to a fault of mine. I was in film school. I was stressed out. I just became a Christian, really. So just figuring out life in New York City. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned, I was super, super duper broke. So that I think really added to the fact that I needed to spend time building myself up, my career, and I guess my finances, and learning how to walk with God. So one day I got a text message, or I guess a notification somewhere, that it was Tylea's birthday. And I made a decision. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead, and we haven't kept in touch for a while. I guess I can show up to her birthday and show some support or some love.
I told you about that.
Oh, she told me about that.
I invited him.
I don't remember. I don't know. Yes, he had the story. So I made a decision. I'm like, oh, let me go. I just happened to have my camera that same night. And I shot, just happened. I shot, some clips, a lot of snippets here and there for her birthday. I just thought it would be cool to put something together for her without being asked. I just thought it was a great party. So I went home, I put together a video, I sent it to her, and she was elated. Like, she was like, wow, I was not expecting this. And she was just like, this guy is amazing. I think that's what she didn't say that, but I could imagine that was what was going on in her mind. So in 2018, as we continue to kind of like pick up the pace in our conversations, I realized that something is happening here. Like some fuzzy, what people would describe like as the fuzzy feelings. I think I started feeling some of those fuzzy feelings. And I think on top of the relationship we've been able to build over time, through our relationship with God and with each other and our double dates, I just thought it was a great friendship. And, my graduation from film school was coming up. So the day of my graduation, I invited her to join, myself and some friends to watch, my thesis film and kind of like celebrate with me. So she came. My parents happened to be in town that weekend. And on the train there, I told my mom, I'm like, hey, Mom, so there's this young woman. Actually, I think it was on the train back that I'm thinking of asking to be my girlfriend. And she goes, who is this young woman? And I was like, should I describe to her how I view her or how she actually is, like the slow motion? And I'm like, no, I should spare my mom. I have an African mother. That does not play well. So I just give it to her straight who she was. And she was like, And she gave me £1. I was like, oh, snap. My mom approves. And, just like that, the following day we had a dinner. I put this whole thing together. And at the dinner, it was so funny how I had to orchestrate where she sat with some friends so that the surprise isn't ruined when the flowers and whatnot comes in and some other friends visiting come in. Because if she sat seeing them, it would have just been like, oh, what is this random group of people with flowers?
I was so confused, y'all. I was so entirely confused because I was being told where to sit at a dinner. Continue.
And I just started thanking everyone who was present, and then I landed on her, and then I broke out my, one-page essay or poem, perhaps, as you would say, about how special she is, and she was just stuck. Like, what is happening here? And I just poured out my heart to her like King David, just really let her know the depths of my heart. And in that instance, I just saw her eyes. We connected, I think. And then my friends from the background kind of slowly approached with the flowers. And in that same moment, I just look at her and I said, would you be my girlfriend? Yeah! Out from the shadows popped the friends with the flowers. And then just handed to her, and she was just speechless. And I stood there, she stood there. We get a phone call, and then it's her mom. And I'm expecting like, oh, congratulations. She looks at me, she goes, we gotta talk. So I'm just like,
we love you, Mom.
Snap. That was like, we gotta talk. Like, mister, I don't know you from anywhere. It's time for me to know you. So we started dating in 2018, and that's surely the beginning of our journey. God allowed us to date purely that whole year. We learned a lot, great ups and downs. I had a lot of stuff to work on personally. And a year later, actually, we got engaged. It happened so fast. At the end of the 2018 time frame, I realized one day that I woke up, I was like, she's still dating me. So logically, if she's still dating me, I'm broke. I'm figuring out my life. Yes, I'm a Christian, and she's still around. That means that there's hope here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put a ring on it. So in 2018, God opened up a door. I went to India, and while I was in India, I got a chance to do 2019? Oh, 2019. My apologies. I got a chance to do some ring shopping, and I came back, made some plans, and the day of that we started dating is the same day that I made, or the day after, I think, that I asked her to be my wife. And this is her reaction. Yes, so the guys who are watching, you're wondering, how long was I on my knees? Well, it felt like an hour. Just waiting for her to turn around, but all that matters is just she was elated, she's sick. And obviously, a couple of months later, we planned our wedding. That was really stressful, by the way. We can tell you guys that whole process. Obviously, all the married watching, you know what it takes to create a wedding. And actually, Talia wanted to get married in 2020, and obviously we know what happened in 2020.
Yep.
So we got married, and we shared our first kiss at the altar. I never thought that was something that was possible. If you would have told me a year or 2 years prior, I would have probably kicked you like you're crazy, you're out of your mind. But by God's grace and fellowship and accountability in His Word, just being able to have a pure relationship and share our first kiss with my bride was really special. And everyone was inspired by it. People who never thought was possible as well were inspired by it. So that's just in a nutshell, just our life. So we met in 2017, we got married in 2019, and here we are in 2021, close to a year and a half into the married life, and we're starting a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened. That's a little bit from my side. Now let's hear her side, and we can get the complete story. I might have missed a couple of things. By accident or on purpose.
So my side has some similarities with Noble. We met, like he said, in 2017. I actually remember my first viewing of him as like a week old as a disciple. He had just gotten baptized, and it was at a Labor Day barbecue. And I noticed him just as like a new brother in the church. Like I wasn't really thinking anything of him. I actually was going through something that day, so I think everyone was just like went over my head. But yeah, I noticed him then, and I think maybe I forgot. But then he came back into my view. And I think one of the main things that stood out to me about Noble was just his servitude, his heart to just serve and use his talents just to support and assist in any area that, you know, God needs. And there was this one Sunday in particular where I literally saw him setting up the equipment for church. Then I saw him ushering throughout the service. Then I saw him taking pictures of baptisms at the service. Then I saw him breaking down the service. I'm like, whoa, this is interesting, right? Like you see this one person all throughout service doing so many different jobs. And I was just really blown away by that, actually. Yeah.
Blown away.
But mainly because I'm someone that I'm already kind of a lot, you know, like I'm in there, like, you know, like in there, like my hair is big, my personality is big, I'm kind of loud, and so I'm
kinda.
I'm normally like drawn to, whether it's relationally or just in friendships, like I'm normally drawn to people that are kind of low key or just like me in a way. So I was just attracted to Noble by like that obvious difference. And yeah, like I think a week after I had shared with one of my mentors, I'm like, I'm noticing this brother, but I don't know his name.
I was no name.
Yeah, he was literally no name. He was unnamed, untitled. And yeah, she mentioned his name to me. I was like, oh yeah, I think that brother. Yeah, I think it's him. And literally the day after is when like he called me to go on a date with him. And I just thought that was so interesting. And I even followed up with my mentor. She had nothing to do with it, which was so weird. So I was like, wow, like when I look back on it, I just see how divine that actually was, like a divine meeting. Yeah. So yeah, our first date, y'all, let me just put it out there for the men out there, for the women out there. This brother, Noble brother, his name is Noble. He took me to Whole Foods on our first date. No disclaimers. He took me to Whole Foods, y'all. I never, ever been on a date at Whole Foods in my life.
Right.
In my life.
That should have been the highlight. It's something new, something fresh, something whole. That was intended.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. But I think I was just so elated by the fact that, you know, I just had mentioned I was noticing him, and then he calls me to go on a double date. I was like, I don't know. I think I was distracted by that I didn't really think so much about the fact that we were at Whole Foods. I'm not gonna front. They did try to set it up. They made it look nice. I understand he's in film school. Pockets is kind of low. Like, I get it, you know. But for the brothers out there, I'm just putting it out there. Maybe not try that as a first date. Maybe date number 2. I'm not sure. But anyway, it was just really amazing just to get to know more about him and just his journey to New York City, the faith that he had to move here to pursue his dreams. Like, I was just in a space where I just really needed to hear that, and I needed to be inspired by that. And I think that was one of the main things that just kind of like connected us. And so it was really cool. And one of the things too, I wanted to be with someone that would challenge me creatively, and Noble was definitely in the running for that because I was just starting out my own creative endeavors, and it was just really amazing to kind of have a friendship with someone who was also pursuing the same thing. So that was brownie points for you. Fast forward, we start building, we lose contact because he ghosted me, essentially. He blames it on film school. I just feel like he was figuring out his life. Maybe you were mesmerized, I don't know. But he just ghosted me. I don't know what happened, and then he just appeared. He appeared back on the scene. And the thing is, I wasn't necessarily waiting for him to respond. I think during that time, God was really allowing me to just do more self-discovery, which, ladies, I really think is important during that time of like singleness. Just explore who you are, figure out your interests, the things that you want to do, travel. It's amazing. But yeah, so I come back to the States because I traveled to India, and he's like, welcome back.
You know, I don't remember that. I just don't remember. I remember, yeah, we need that screenshot. I just remember that Talia would text me more throughout that period. Like, she would text me like pictures of her shoes. Like,
that was one time.
And then she would text me.
That was one time.
And then
keep holding on to that.
Well, it's a time. It was a time, right? In that story. But regardless, I'll let you proceed.
This is how our marriage works, because it just takes one person to be humble. I love you. Okay, so yeah, fast forward, we start like reconnecting again. We went on a couple of more dates together, and our friendship was building momentum. And I think that was like really helpful for me to just pray more specifically just about what I wanted in a future relationship, and specifically pray for Noble to see if God actually wanted me to be with him. And my prayer was that God would just have me start dating the man that he would want me to marry, and that would lead me to heaven. So yeah, as we started building our friendship, those prayers started to become more specific, and I just saw how God was like kind of ordering our steps together. And then yeah, like he said, in 2018 he asked me to be his girlfriend. Totally bamboozled me. I had no idea. I was like, what? That's how you feel about me?
So that's how you want to do it. Total bamboozle. Yes, the Whole Foods would be, that's interesting, but if you can get to the point where it's a total surprise, that's brownie, that's kudos.
Yeah, Noble is a master at surprising me. He did it while we were dating, and he also did it at our engagement, and he continues to do so at certain moments. But now that we live together, I kind of can like peep things, and it's kind of hard to surprise me now. But anyway, but yeah, so we started dating, and it just really, I don't know, I feel like it forced us to learn more about each other and work together in different ways, and really expose ourselves, like our strengths and our weaknesses, and see how we work together as a team. And I think that was like really helpful as I started to think more about like what life could be like with Noble in the future. And we did a lot of cool things together. We led like Bible discussion groups, we traveled, just like so many creative things that we've done together as well. So it was just cool during that time, and completely pure, which I think was huge for me because previously my relationships were not pure. There were a lot of boundaries that were crossed. So just getting the opportunity to date purely was like, whoa, thank you, God. I was not expecting that. Literally was not expecting that. And just to be with someone who respected my body, my mind, and most importantly, my relationship with God was like super, super important to me because I never had that before. And yeah, fast forwarding, I was kind of like, it was interesting because I was a little upset with Noble prior, like the day before or the week before he asked me to be his wife, because just our planning of what we wanted to do for our anniversary was not lining up. He wanted to bring his mom. I wanted to bring his mom too, but I just didn't want to like hang out. Like, all week. I was like, no, we gotta hang out with our friends. We gotta do fun stuff and like, celebrate our anniversary and all this stuff. And I was on the phone whining, and he's just like, trust me, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. And I had one of my closest friends on the phone with me, Talia, you need to write a list. You need to remember, Noble loves you. He's gonna consider you, all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like it was just so confusing. And then moving into, like, we did a dinner with our mothers to celebrate them, and then we come to our friend's house, and Noble has this huge video that's like put together with all of our friends. I'm like, whoa.
Let's look at that reaction one more time.
I was completely shocked. It was so shocking to me, and that pause was me just, I don't know. It's like so shocking. You're asking a question that requires a response of forever, So I was kind of like looking back at my best friend, like, is he the one? Like, are we sure he's the one? Like,
And I was just kind of like, my knees hurt really bad. Please turn around like yesterday. And
the thing is, though, guys, men don't really understand that, like, they have more time to process if they're going to ask a woman to be their wife, right? So during the months or the years of them planning, this is how I'm going to ask her, this is the ring I'm going to get, like, they're already counting the cost of, like, what it's going to take to be someone's husband, right? But for the woman, we're just asked, especially if we don't know when it's coming. It's like, whoa, like, all of that processing, it just kind of goes out the window. We don't have a time span to even do that. So please forgive the women if they do a pause real quick, because they're just like, so yeah, I said yes. That was my faithful decision, and it's a yes every day. Yes. It's a yes every day. It's not like a fairy tale. Like, sometimes I'm crazy, guys, and sometimes Noble is amazing. He's amazing every time. But yeah, it's been like an adventure. And then we planned our wedding for like 8 months, and then we got married right before the pandemic, which was.
Want to show them the wedding?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe. Check this out.
It was freezing cold that day. I didn't say that. It was like the coldest day.
It was the coldest day of the year. That's literally and figuratively.
That's how you do a wedding, y'all. You have to make it completely outlandish. Yeah. Set the bar high, even when it's cold, We were just shaking out there. It was freezing cold. But it was beautiful, and like, we looked so classic, and it was just like, Thank you to everyone that helped us get married.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, we love you guys. We would not have been able to get married without y'all. Yeah. But yeah, so we get married. We're doing life. We went to Puerto Rico for our honeymoon. It was a lot of fun.
Check it out.
We came back, started our lives, and then lockdown. Literal lockdown. Like 3 months into our marriage, everything locked down. I was able to see like so much of the fears that I had hidden in my heart regarding just being a new wife. Like, it was crazy not being able to see my family as much, working from home. I never worked remotely before, so it was really hard. I think on a personal note. And then, just being married, trying to figure out how to be a new wife. I'm like, what? Our relationships with God really got us through it, and we didn't kill each other. We actually learned a lot more about communication, and we just learned more about each other and how to work through hard times. And I think, like, even though we've been married for 1.5 years, because we've been married during quarantine and a pandemic, it definitely has matured our marriage so much. Yep. So even though we're probably like 1.5 years, or maybe like 3.5 years, mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a wise man say that any couple who've endured quarantine come out learning more, or being in a position that it takes usually 4 to 5 years to learn for any other regular marriages. So God was really speeding us up in our learning process.
Yep, and that was a wise man. Yeah, so we made it through the pandemic, and now we're here. Things are like coming back to normal. We are located in New York, so it was really bad in New York, but things are getting a lot better, and we're here, and we're just so grateful to be able to do something creative and really share those lessons that we've learned during the pandemic. So that's kind of how we got here, and yeah. You want to give me a kiss?
So that was a lot, and hopefully you guys are just so filled with fuzzy feelings, because that's the idea, the purpose of this story time. And like we shared in the last video, when should we expect the new videos to drop?
Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Friday, 8 p.m. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our channel. So, until next time.
Until next time. But in the meantime, thank you for kicking it with us.